Hi, first grade math experts, it's Mrs. Dixon. I wanted to come on here and do a quick video to kind of give a refresher for the strategies that we were used to doing in class when we're doing word problems. So if you think back to whenever we did word problems in class, we did them every day with application problems, and then sometimes our problem sets had word problems. But it had 3 letters in the strategy, and each letter stood for something you're supposed to do as you read a word problem. And that strategy is CUB. So the C for CUB stands for circling your numbers, U stands for underlining the question, and then B stands for boxing the important words. I'm going to do one of these word problems. This is a homework page that is from lesson 1, and lesson 1 is actually one of the lessons that you have to do this week for your assignments. But this is not the actual assignment that you will be submitting. This was just an extra homework page, but it does require you to use the same strategy, and I wanted to model using CUB and then also model the actual strategy that you have to use on it. All right, so the word problem for number 4, it says it rained 15 days in the month of March. It rained 19 days in April. How many more days did it rain in April than in March? So after reading it, now I'm going to go back and reread it again, but slowly, and while I am rereading it and chunking it apart, I'm going to use CUB, where I circle the numbers, underline the question, and then box the important words. The first sentence, again, it had said it rained 15 days in the month of March. So I heard a number, and numbers I'm supposed to circle. I'm going to continue to read. It rained 19 days in April. So I'm going to circle 19, but now that I read that second sentence, I heard 2 different months. So since they're the 2 differences, I'm going to box them because those are going to be important when I'm completing my tape diagram. Continuing to read the last sentence, how many more days did it rain in April than in March? So that isn't just a statement, it's actually the question. And when I do CUB, I have to underline the question. So I'm going to underline that whole last sentence, question. And then I also heard some keywords in there. And the keywords kind of help me decide, am I going to add or am I going to subtract? So you are kind of solving a mystery while you read word problem, to figure out what exactly you're supposed to do with these numbers. I heard how many more. So whenever you hear how many more, how many fewer, how many less, that should tell you that you need to subtract because we're comparing 2 different sets of numbers. So I'm going to box how many more. So now that I did CUB, I have to go on to the next strategy, which at the top of these pages, it tells you right here you need to do RDW. And RDW was the next step whenever we did word problems that we had to do. R stands for read and use CUB, which we just did. D stands for draw using the strategy designated on the worksheet or on a paper or whatever your teacher tells you. This is where you show your work, show your thinking. So it rained 15 days in the month of March. So March is the name that represents the 15. So I'm going to label it not with the whole word, but just with the M. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle to represent the number 15. And 15 goes inside the box. Now, the next part is it rained 19 days in April. So April is the name for the next month. So I'm going to write an A, and then I'm going to make a rectangle to show 19. Now, when I draw this rectangle, it should not be the same length or the same size as 15. Because if I think about it, 19 isn't the same number as 15. Which number is bigger? 15 or 19? 19. So my rectangle for April should be longer than my rectangle for March. And that represents 19. The next step is figuring out and answering the question, how many more days did it rain in April than in March? So I have to figure out, what is this mystery number, this part, represent that would equal the 19? So remember, when I do it, I kind of frame it out to where it almost looks like a house, like the roof. And to figure this out, we used a strategy when there wasn't a big difference between the two numbers of counting on. So I start at 15 and count on until I get to 19. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that is the number 4. You could also count back, starting at the bigger number, put that in your head, and count back and stop when you get to 15. So that would be 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. So how many was that? 4. Same number. Now that I did the D, drawing my work, I'm going to do the W part, which is writing a number sentence. So like I said earlier, these keywords, how many more, tells me that I need to subtract. And whenever I subtract, I need to put the biggest number where? Should I put it at the beginning or the end? Where does the biggest number go when you subtract? It goes at the beginning. So my biggest number out of 15 and 19, we said earlier, was 19. So 19 minus my other number that I know, my part, 15, equals blank. And I figured out that it is 4. So I did my sentence. Now I need to do, there's 2 parts to the W, writing a number sentence, but there's also writing a statement to answer the question. And as long as there is, you should always start with the who. So in this, there isn't necessarily a who, but there is a specific month. The question said, how many more days did it rain in April than in March? So we're figuring out in April, how many more days did it rain than in March? So I'm going to start with, in April, it rained 4, there's my mystery number, more days than in March, period. Make sure when you write your sentence, your statement, that you are doing your good writer checks by starting with your capital letter at the beginning of a sentence, finger spaces, checking for lowercase letters throughout your sentence, and an end mark. I have my capital letter, I have my end mark, and then you'll notice that I have a capital A and capital M in the sentence, which I'm supposed to have because those are names of months. So that is okay to have those 2 capital letters. And that is all the steps for completing a word problem. So try now, the next time you do a word problem, try first to use your CUB strategy. If you are not finished yet with these 2 assignments where you have to do the tape diagrams, make sure that you are doing all the steps of RDW to where you are showing your work. with the labeled tape diagram. Make sure you are writing a number sentence that matches your word problem, and then also writing a statement to match the word problem and answer the question. Have fun!